Hi guys, thank you so much for checking in. As we're coming to the end of 2021, I really want to share some of my favorite items that I've truly enjoyed through this year. These are not items that are newly released this year or that I have discovered, but these items are items that I gravitated towards and that I really trust. And it's going to be a long video because there are a lot of items here, so we'll get started now. The best way I feel to tackle these items is basically by the order of how I would apply them on my face. So I will usually start off with a new technique that I started recently is by applying a corrector on the under eyes, and a corrector that I've been really loving, and it's really sad that's actually been discontinued, is by Becca. This is the Becca corrector. I have the shade light to medium under eye brightening corrector, and I actually purchased a backup of this before they discontinued it, but for this one it's just really brightening under the eyes. It doesn't provide you much coverage, but it gives you that color correcting darkness for your under eyes, and also it has a little bit of pearlescent particles in there that really helps reflect the light for the under eyes. So I'll normally start off with this, but since this is discontinued, I'll recommend this one, which is a really close second. This is the Tarte Under Eye Corrector. I use this so much that the name has rubbed off, but this is what mine look like. Just gonna have a look at it. Yeah, there's a piece of eyelash in there as well. But the shade I have here is in light medium, and it basically looks like this. The only difference between this and the Becca is this one doesn't have that pearlescent particle in there that helps bounce light off the under eye darkness, but this still has the correcting properties of that peachy tone in there, and also it's really creamy, it's really lightweight, so you don't feel anything, but at the same time it's able to brighten the under eye area. And then for the under eyes, I'll go in with concealer. So I've been really enjoying these two concealers for the under eyes. So the first one that I enjoyed in the first half of this year is this one by Tarte. This is the Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape Concealer, and this is in the small, I think it's the 5ml. The shade I have here is in 12N Fair Neutral, and I just really like this as the under eye concealer because the color you guys can see here is really fair, but when I have it on the under eyes it's not that stark feeling. And also the formulation of this concealer is really, it's a little bit thick, but it's not to the point that it will settle in your fine lines. It's thick in a sense that it's able to give you coverage and it's able to give you hydration for the under eyes, but at the same time it doesn't cause creasing or creping for the under eyes. Another concealer that I really enjoy for the under eyes, and I'm going to talk about the foundation as well, is this one by Givenchy. This is the Givenchy Teint Couture Everwear Concealer. The shade I have here is in 10. This one compared to the Tarte one is a little bit more lightweight, so it's not as thick or tacky, but at the same time it's able to still give you the coverage and at the same time the hydration as well. Same as the Tarte, it doesn't cause creasing or it doesn't cause crepiness under the eyes, and it's just a beautiful concealer, and you can apply this on the high areas of the face too. So if you want to highlight on your cheekbones, or if there's any darkness around the nose or around the mouth, this one's able to do it as well. Talking about around the mouth concealing, for the first half of the year I've been really enjoying this concealer by Libre. This is the Libre, I believe it's just called the concealer. The shade I have here is very light 02, and it's a bit tough to open, but it's a roll-up concealer like this, and I've used up quite a bit. You can see that it's dented down like this, but it's just a really easy concealer. What I do is I just dab it around the mouth and blend it out, and it's able to give you coverage. It's not super heavy on the skin. It's just a really easy concealer, and if I were to go out and I need to get ready in 5-10 minutes, I'll definitely gravitate towards this one. Another concealer that I discovered towards the end of this year, and I really regret not getting this earlier, is this one by Dior. This is the Dior Forever Skin Correct in the shade 0N, and I really like this one because this one is the perfect skin tone for me. The other concealers that I mentioned before can be like brightening for the under eyes, or the skin tone might be a little bit off for myself, but this one is the perfect shade for me. I can use this for the under eyes, around the mouth, around the nose, or on blemishes, and this one performs just so well. It does not crease, it does not crepe, and it's not thick at all. It's a really lightweight formula, but at the same time it gives you coverage and luminosity. I just really love this concealer, and I'm just so happy that I got it now. The final concealer is this one by Ere Perez. This is the Arnica concealer. I have the shade Latte. I use this exclusively for my pimples, and the formulation of this is basically a thicker cream. So what you need to do is you need to put your finger in there and basically melt the product. And I love this one because the formula, did I just say because twice? But because the formula is so thick, it's able to give you coverage and creaminess, and also it has Arnica in there, so it's able to give you skin carrying properties without agitating your pimples once you apply it on. And also it's really long lasting, if I didn't mention that about the other concealers. Now into foundation, and there is a couple as well. The first one I want to mention is this one by Givenchy. This is the Givenchy Prisme Libre Skin Carrying Glow Foundation. I have the shade here in N95. The reason I picked this one up was because I love this one from last year. You can see that I used a good like up to here of this foundation. These two foundations look very, very similar on the face. They both give you light to medium coverage, really beautiful luminous finish on the skin, wears really comfortably throughout the day, really lightweight, does not dry my skin out, because as I age my skin actually becomes drier and drier, especially on this area of the face where I've been wearing a lot of mask. This area especially, I've been getting maskne and also dryness where skin will peel off. But this foundation has really basically just sealed in the moisture of the skin, but still makes my skin look really natural and luminous. Hence why I picked this one up, and the performance is just as good. I'll say the only difference between these two foundations is this one is a little bit lighter coverage compared to this one. But in terms of performance, these two are really A-class for me. The foundation that I go to if I know that I'm going to an event and I really want my skin to look perfect is this one by Lisa Eldridge. This one is able to give you a medium coverage, but it's able to give you this flawless finish on the skin, and the longer that you wear this foundation, it just becomes nicer on the skin. It becomes more perfect on the skin, and on photographs this foundation is just so beautiful. Hence why if I know I was going to go somewhere and I'll need to represent myself, I'll definitely go for this foundation. The final foundation, same story as that Dior Corrector before, is this one, the Dior Capture Totale Super Potent Serum Foundation. The shade I have here is in 0N as well. And when I first got this foundation, basically I was just thinking to myself, why didn't I try out Dior based products sooner? This one is seriously the perfect everyday go-to foundation for me. I can just pat this on and blend it out. Within 10 seconds, it'll be blended, it'll look beautiful on the skin, it'll match my skin tone, it'll camouflage all the pores as well. It doesn't go into my fine lines, and is just the perfect, for me personally, go-to everyday foundation. Really moisturizing on the face too. You guys can see this luminous glow on my cheeks. Even though I powdered, there is still a beautiful glow. For bronzers, there's only one cream bronzer, and it's this one by Westman Atelier. The shade I have here is in Biscuit, and I've seen so many people talking about this bronzer from medium skin tone to fair skin tone. This is basically the perfect bronzer color because it's on that cooler spectrum of bronzers. This one, the pigmentation of this is not that strong, so it's really easy to control and to apply as well. Super easy to blend out. It just takes a few swipes, and yet it looks so natural and luminous on the skin because of the nature of the product. It is a cream. I'm going to mention a couple of Westman Atelier products in this video, and that's because I've been just loving all of the products because it's easy to work with and it's able to give you a very beautiful finish on the skin. I've started getting into powder bronzers this year, and that's because I've been wanting that healthy glow and also dimension on the face. But really, I only found one bronzer that ticked all of my boxes. Basically, I wanted a bronzer to be seamless on the face and at the same time suits my skin tone, and I only really found it in this one. This is the Chantecaille Perfect Blow Finishing Powder in the shade Medium Deep, and I've been really enjoying this as a bronzer because first of all, this is a blurring powder so that it's really seamless and smooth on the face, but because the color of this, it's a really nice neutral tone of powder, it looks seamless on the face. I have it on the cheekbones here and also a little bit here, but you can hardly tell. But if I were to look straight onwards, there is a touch of color just on the sides of the face here, and this is basically what I want a bronzer to do for me personally. For blushes, we'll talk about cream first, and there is 3, so we'll have to zip through them really quickly. The first one we'll talk about is this one by Westman Atelier. Looks like this in the bullet. The shade is called Biscuit, but it's not a shade favorite. I actually have 3 like individual shades in my collection, so it's just the formula. Just like the bronzer, it's super easy to apply. The pigmentation is just right for a blush, and I just love the overall like makeup theory for Westman Atelier. Basically easy application, long lasting, and also luminous on the skin. So I really recommend these Westman Atelier products if you have the budget, because honestly, if you have one of them, they're gonna set you for a very long time. Next one I want to talk about is this one by Nudestix. The shade I have here is in Cherie, and I do really enjoy this one shade. Although again, I do have probably 3 of these blushes in my collections as well. But you guys can see this is a beautiful peachy pink shade, and this one, just like the Westman Atelier, is really nicely pigmented, easy to apply. The only difference between this one and the Westman Atelier, I would say, is this one has a little bit more luminosity compared to the Westman Atelier, because the Westman Atelier, I feel like when it blends out, it does give a matte finish in terms of a blush shade. But for this one, it gives you a little bit more luminosity. But if you want something that's ultra luminous in terms of a cream blush, this one by Stila is the color Convertible Dual Lip and Cheek Cream in the shade Lillium. This is the only one I have in the collection. The color here is perfect. This one, the pigmentation is not as high as the 2 that I mentioned before, but the luminosity is really beautiful. For highlight, it's a real easy one. Again, by Westman Atelier. None of these products that I mentioned today are sponsored. I purchased all of them with my own money, my own hard-earned money. But seriously, I love Westman Atelier products. This one, the shade I have here, is in Lit. The reason I love these highlighters is they give you a water-like finish. You know how they say for Marilyn Monroe, she put Vaseline on the skin? I'll imagine Vaseline on the skin looks like this. Just that glossy finish on the skin. And it's super hydrating. You can basically touch this and it doesn't dry down to like a matte finish. So when you apply this onto the skin, basically don't go over it with a powder because you'll lose the luminosity of this highlight. I have it on my cheeks today. It basically looks like water is going to be squeezed out of your cheeks or wherever you apply this highlight. And it feels so comfortable on the skin, like a moisturizer. I love this one so much that just last week I grabbed another shade. This one is called Nectar. My next favorite is not something that I've categorized as my favorite, but it's something that I just grab naturally every single time I put on makeup. And it's this one by Fenty Beauty. It's their matchstick in the shade Amber. And basically I use this exclusively for nose contour. First of all, this is the perfect shade for contour because it's that cool tone taupey brown, and the pigmentation of this, it's also just right. It's not so pigmented to the point that it's hard to control, because with nose contours we all know that you need to be a little bit more delicate. This one's able to give you the perfect color every single time. So what I do is I just swipe on 2 little swipes on the sides of my nose and blend out with my fingers. And because of the formulation of this, it's not a luminous finish, so it's able to give you that natural shadow wherever you apply this. And I just love this. For powder blushes, there is 5 and I can't take any one of these out because they all have a special place in my heart. The first one is this one by Surrat. This is the shade La Vie en Rose. Again, is a rose shade, but I love this one because this is my perfect don't know what to wear go to. Looks beautiful every single time, super smooth on the face. I don't know how they did this with this powder, but it's so ultra finely milled. Because it's so finely milled, it's able to give you a luminous finish without any sparkles in the actual formula. This one is just so beautiful, and it kind of gives you, with all these blushes here, it kind of gives you a touch of color. You can't really put your finger on it, but there's just color there on the skin, and it's just ever so beautiful, ever so smooth. This one, if you need one blush to last you through all kinds of makeups that you'll do, I really recommend this one. Another one that's very similar to that Surrat blush, but it's just a little bit harder in formulation, is this one by Too Faced. First of all, the packaging is just beautiful, but these are the Too Faced Love Flush watercolor blushes. The shade I have here is in Love Yourself. I have 2 here. The other one is No Ordinary Love. But the reason I love these blushes, again, it just gives you that smooth, buttery-like color, but at the same time, there's no kind of harsh lines or hard to blend. It doesn't settle in your fine lines or pores, and it just looks so beautiful against your skin, so natural, because the powder is so finely milled that's still able to let your skin your skin's own luminosity and radiancy come through these blushes. And I just love them, and I feel the overall kind of aesthetic that I want from blushes is a really natural glow. I don't want anything too powdery, too overbearing on the skin. I just want it to look like my own flush with a little bit of, you know, color, like a different color, like a twist in the flush. It's that hard to understand, it's probably, but that's what I look for in blushes. The next blush, very similar along the Too Faced, is the Pat McGrath. Is from Mother Pat. The shade I have here is in Flirtatious. My other love is called Divine Rose. The reason I chose these 2 is because it's the most natural looking. They don't have any shimmers in them, and so they're able to give you that beautiful flush on the cheeks. And because of the formulation, is so finely milled that's just able to give you that beautiful color. It's right here on the cheeks. I'm just showing you guys now how beautiful they are, because honestly, when it comes to face products, you just need to see it to determine whether you like it or not. The next blush is this one by Patrick Ta, and it's the single blushes. The shade I have here is in She's Passionate. It's just this beautiful pink watermelon shade. This formula again is a little bit harder compared to the Surrat, but because it's harder formula, that means that it's able to give you a much more controllable color on the skin. I have it here right now, and this is basically what I want in a powder blush, because for someone as fair skin as myself, I don't want a blush that's just so poppy on the cheeks. And also I have chubby cheeks. The last blush is when you need that pop of color, is this one by Glowish. This one is a creamed powder consistency. The color here is a little bit more darker compared to the previous ones, but again, it's really easy to blend out on the skin, and it's able to give you a really beautiful flush, just a gorgeous flush on the skin. For setting powders, there is only two. This first one is the Pat McGrath Lab Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Powder in the shade Light. The front is nearly all rubbed off, and the back is going to be rubbed off as well. And inside there is a healthy dent. I love this powder because it's able to secure the integrity of your concealer and also brightener that you apply under the eyes without looking creasy, without looking crepiness that you usually get from a powder. This one is so finely milled that it looks invisible on the skin, and I can't imagine using another under eye powder because this one is just perfection for me. Speaking of perfection, this Clé de Peau powder here, I've actually used one of these up last year, and this is a repurchase. And for this powder, I love it so much because the powder is so finely milled that when you're touching it and rubbing it in between your fingers, it doesn't feel like a powder. It feels almost like a cream because it's so finely milled. And when you set it on the face, your luminosity still comes through. But at the same time, this is able to set your makeup all day long. I just love this powder so much, and if I run out, I'll get another one. Starting on my eye favorites, an easy one, my NARS Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. I always use this. This is my holy grail. I don't need to talk about it anymore. I just came back from dinner. It's getting dark out and I'm losing my voice a little bit. If you would like to support me, please do like and subscribe down below. We'll carry on now. First, I want to start off with lips because I just touched up my lips. This is what I use to touch up. This is the Kosas lipstick. I have here the shade in Stardust, but I also have multiple different shades of this. So this one again is this beautiful rosy shade. It's what I have on my lips right now. It basically looks like a moisturizing lip tint. It feels ultra nice on the lips, and I love the color that it gives. It's not a really pigmented color, but it's just this really healthy glow on the lips. I love these lipsticks, and like I said before, I have a couple of them in my stash. The next two lipsticks, similar to the Kosas one, are both moisturizing. For me personally, I have quite sensitive lips to the point that sometimes when I wear lip conditioners, they'll dry my lips out. So any lipstick that I'll reach for on a daily basis that are my favorite has to be moisturizing. So this one by Lisa Eldridge is part of her Lucent line. I don't think it's spelled out down here, but it's part of her like more sheerer lipstick range. The shade here is in Spirited Away. This one compared to the Kosas one, this one's a little bit more pigmented. but it still has that really nice moisturizing factor on the lips. And finally, Victoria Beckham. I love her whole entire lipstick range because all of them feel like a really lush lip balm. I have the shade here in Spark, but any of the shade within her range, it's so luxurious on the lips. I can wear them all day long and they just feel like a really nice lip conditioner, lip balm on my lips, but it still gives the really poppy colors. Two lip balms, one is an old favorite and another one that's becoming my new favorite. So this one by La Mer is always my true and true favorite lip balm. It's definitely a Lush product, but for me this is the ultimate lip conditioner. It makes your lips really, really voluminous and moisturized, and at the same time it does have little shimmers in there, so it gives your lips this really nice kind of lip gloss look, but at the same time there is a mintiness in there, so it gives you a freshness on the lips. Everything that you want from a lip balm, lip conditioner, this one does it, and this one basically does all these things that you want to the maximum effort. I love these lip balm. I know it's expensive, but it's truly worth it for me. Hi guys, I'm back again. It's a new day, and that's because yesterday's footage, the end of it, I actually lost audio because my little mic went out of battery. So today I hope everything goes well because I want to wrap up everything today morning. So for today, I want to start off with this lip gloss because I ended with this one on such a high note. So this is the Victoria Beckham Posh Gloss in the shade Ice. This is the only one in the range right now, and it's what I have on the lips. You guys can see on the lips, it gives you this really nice glass-like finish of a gloss, and also it evens out all your fine lines that you'll have on your lips. It just gives it a unified finish, and I really love this one in a sense that it feels extremely moisturizing and comfortable on the lips, and at the same time it gives you a beautiful finish, a beautiful gloss finish on the lips. And I really do hope that she comes out with a few more shades with this, similar to her lip tints. I do have her lip tints underneath this as well in the shade Cherie. I know I'm getting tired when I'm repeating myself, so the next product we're going to talk about is a favorite brow item that I discovered, and is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. I have the shade in medium brown, and basically this is my love now for eyebrows. It's able to create a really nice defined brow like this, and it has all the aspect that I want from a brow pencil. It's nice and thin, but at the same time it's not easy to break, so it's quite sturdy pen, and it's able to pack on the colors. And on the other side, of course, there is a spoolie which is really good quality. Usually other spoolies that I have from my previous eyebrow pencils, they break after about like a month or two, but this one is still intact on, and I'm able to, you know, blur out the eyebrows without a problem. So I really love this, and I already have about 2 backups in my stash. For eyeliners, Victoria Beckham definitely. I think I've used all of her eyeliners in most of my videos now. All different kinds of colors. I have most of the colors of the Cold Cajole eyeliners, and I just have to say her eyeliners are revolutionary. First of all, the cap, it's a seal in there. Basically there's a layer of plastic and it creates a vacuum when you close it, so your pen will never dry out. And of course the other side, there's a smudger. You can get this eyeliner with a sharpener or without. Without, obviously, it's I think $2 cheaper, but this eyeliner is just so perfect in a sense that you can create a precise line. It's super easy to blend out, and it's long lasting throughout the day. Everything that I want in a Cold Cajole eyeliner, these eyeliners does it, and it does not smudge. You guys can see I had this on since about noon today, and there's no movement, there's no budginess. I love these eyeliners. For mascara, there is only one. I did try other mascaras in the year that are more high-end, but I just keep finding myself coming back to this one because this ticks all my boxes. It keeps my lashes curled, it also lengthens my lashes, it does not smudge, and is waterproof. And I just love this one. It is drugstore as well, so I've been using this for about 2 years already, and I don't see myself changing from this one. So again, this year, favorite mascara. Finally, we're up to eyeshadows, and there is quite a few, so stay with me. This is the last part. The first few eyeshadows are matte eyeshadows that I use to create a base with. So the first one is this Pat McGrath one in the shade Statuesque. So this one is super easy to apply, super easy to blend out, which is what you need as a base color, because you don't want something that's so stark. You want something that you're able to buff out really quickly and blend in with everything that you apply underneath, and this shade does that. The next one, which is a touch more cooler and a little bit more darker than the shade below, is this one by Laura Mercier. This shade is called Cafe au Latte. It's a very similar process, easy to apply, easy to blend. It's just a bit darker than the Pat McGrath and a little bit more cooler. The last category I was on was eyeshadows that I got rudely cut off on. So the last two matte eyeshadows I want to talk about is this one. This one is Laura Mercier again, and the shade is in Truffle, and I like to use this to set my gel eyeliners or Colca gel eyeliners. And you guys can see this one is basically a darker brown with a warmer finish. Another option that I really enjoy, again back to Pat McGrath, is this darker brown. So if I want a darker tone, I'll choose this one, and this shade is called Deep Velvet. Now for some sparkly eyeshadows, because I love a sparkle. The first one, by no surprise, is Victoria Beckham's Lid Luster. The one I grabbed here is called Tea Rose, but honestly, most of the shades in this range is absolutely gorgeous. I have about 5 or 6 out of this range from her, and all of them is this beautiful glittery shadow with a undertone color. So that one is Tea Rose. It just packs full of glitter, and also the color is absolutely beautiful. For this one, obviously there is glitter, so there is a little bit of fallout, so you have to work with this one first before you apply your base products. Another one that's quite sparkly as well, and it's only this shade. This is the Dior Mono Couture eyeshadow in the shade Beige Mitza, and I really love this one. I'm wearing this one today on the middle portion of the lid space, and it looks like this inside, which is really impressive already just looking at it in the pan. But when you swatch it, is this gorgeous taupey metallic shade. It's incredibly smooth, and given that there is no kind of large speckles in there, this is more of an elegant sparkly eyeshadow. Another one that I talked about in the beginning of the year that I love the entire range of are these Sicily eyeshadows. They're the Le Phyto Ombres. The shade I have here is in Sparkling Topaz, but basically the whole range is beautiful. These eyeshadows are a gel finish, so it's quite a emollient finish when you touch it. And swatched on, that is Sparkling Topaz. Again, it's more of an elevated eyeshadow look, and given that it is a gel formula, so it's much smoother to apply on the lids. And the last one is also a gel formula, are these Shiseido eyeshadows. They're the Pop Power Gel eyeshadows. The shade I have here is in Haru Haru Silk 02, and this one is gorgeous. This one has all the sparkles that you want in a gel formula, so there's hardly any fallout, but at the same time it gives you a really nice smooth buttery finish on the eyes with pack full of sparkles. So that one here is Haru Haru Silk. And because these Shiseido eyeshadows have skin caring properties in here, so it's really great for those who have sensitive eyes. The last two items are eye and face palettes. These two items are basically my pack and go items if we can go traveling. That's because the color combinations in them are basically one-stop shop for me. The first one I want to talk about is this one by Tom Ford. This is the Tom Ford eyeshadow quad in the shade 31 Sousley Sable. In here is basically the perfect combination of rosy brown matte with a sparkly topper as well. And given that these are Tom Ford eyeshadows, the application, blendability and overall look on the eyes is just absolutely superb. I really love this combination. It's probably my favorite one out of her whole entire eyeshadow quad range. This last item crept up in the very end of this year, and I have to include it because I'm just amazed on how perfect the color combination and also the formulations of this palette. So I have here the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette. The one I have holding right now is the light one. I also have the dark one in my collections as well. But I just really love how she put 3 matte eyeshadows in here in the spectrum of brown, and also it's on the cooler side as well, so it's great for those who have fairer skin tone and definitely for the everyday look. There's 2 shimmers in here. The formulation for these shimmers are absolutely gorgeous as well. The 2 face items. The highlighter is my favorite. This highlighter here is probably the best highlighter I've come across in a very long time. The sparkles are ultra fine and yet it's able to give you this really beautiful elevated glow. The blush is gorgeous as well because it does have very fine shimmers in here, but the pigmentation is really smooth. It's able to give you this really nice terracotta rosy shade just like that in the pan on your cheeks, and it's super easy to apply and blend out just with your fingers. So I absolutely adore this palette. That's why I got the dark one as well, but I also given these as gifts to people because first of all there's a light and dark version, so you can just choose one for each of your individual friends, and you'll know that because of the quality and also the color combination in this palette, everyone who comes in contact with this will love it. And that's a wrap for my 2021 favorites. Thank you so much for sitting through this very long video. If you liked this video or found this video helpful in any way and like to support me, please do like and subscribe down below as well. Until next time, I'm wishing you the best for the new year to come and hoping you have a very happy New Year celebration. Bye.